Welcome back to the Triathlon Nutrition Academy podcast. Today's episode might hit a little bit close to home for you because I wanted to talk about something that I see way too often with age group triathletes, and that is burnout. Now, I'm not talking about the kind of burnout where you are sobbing into your goggles through your swim sets, selling your bike and quitting the sport altogether, but the slow, subtle kind, where you're still training, you're still ticking the boxes, but you're feeling flat. You're unmotivated. You turn up to a training session, but you just can't really be asked. You hide at the very back of your swim squad lane. You opt for lighter weights in the gym, or you don't increase your weights when you know that you should be. Or you don't pull your turn at the front of a group ride bunchy. Your sessions feel harder than they should. You're not bouncing back. And food? Well, let's just say you're either winging it or you've convinced yourself that more coffee is the answer to help you get through the day. Now, if that sounds even slightly familiar, keep listening because I'm going to ask you 3 simple questions that will help you figure out if you're actually burnt out or if you're just maybe underfueled or under-recovered or all 3. And if you're already sitting there squirming in your seat, don't stress. You are not broken, but you are probably doing things the hard way. And that's exactly why I created the Triathlon Nutrition Kickstart course to help you stop winging it and start fueling properly. It is a short, self-paced online course designed to give you the foundations of nutrition that every triathlete needs. What to eat before training, how to fuel during training, and how to recover properly after training as well. And learn how to start to build your day-to-day nutrition strategy that actually supports training for 3 sports. So if you're ready to get out of the slump, head to dietitianapproved.com/kickstart and check it out today. All right, let's dive into today's episode. Are you a burnt out triathlete? Let's find out and answer these 3 questions. Welcome to the Triathlon Nutrition Academy podcast. The secret weapon in your ears for triathletes who want to get fitter, faster, stronger, and healthier with evidence-based nutrition. Okay, let's dive straight in with question 1. The question is, how often do you feel flat before and or during training? Now, feeling tired every now and then is normal, okay? Especially during really long, hard training blocks as you're peaking for your A race or your biggest race of the season. That's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about that constant sense of heaviness. Like you are dragging your ass through every session. Your RPE or your rate of perceived exertion is really high, your motivation is low, and your splits are, let's just say, they're not your best. If you're always telling yourself, I'm just tired, or blaming the weather, or your work is too stressful and work's too busy at the moment, it might actually be time to look a little bit deeper than that. Because you shouldn't feel flat all the time. It's not a badge of honor that we need to wear or we should wear. It is a sign that something is off and you need to fix it. You might be overtrained, and you might also be underfueled and under-recovered. Underfueling is very sneaky. You can be eating what you think is enough and still not meeting your needs, especially if you're training a lot and you're not actually paying attention to the timing and quality of your nutrition. When you're not fueling enough or recovering properly, then training stops feeling good. Your mood drops, you get snappy, you might find yourself way more irritable or just a bit low, even when life is not particularly stressful. Good quality sleep can just go out the window and you're feeling a bit bleh all the time. Does any of that sound familiar? It's not generally a willpower issue. It's not because you're getting older. It's definitely not because you just need to harden up. That low-level grumpiness and lack of motivation, it's often not mental, it's metabolic. It might just mean that you need to actually eat smarter. So have a think if you are a yay or a nay to that question. Question number 2, how do you feel in the hours after your training sessions? Do you feel really calm, content, like ready to smash the day, kick some goals? Or do you crash hard? You know the feeling when you get brain fog, you are dragging yourself through your afternoon, you're totally wiped, you've hit a wall, you are very grumpy, you start craving sugar. And if one more person asks you, what's for dinner, you might actually scream, particularly if they then respond with, yuck, I'm not eating that. That's not a sign of, I'm just training hard. That's a sign that your recovery is off. And when this happens every week or multiple times a week, it really does start to wear you down. It can be hard to concentrate at work. You lose motivation to organize your food and your nutrition. You stop looking forward to training, and slowly burnout creeps in. If your post-session window is just filled with chaos and mayhem of packing lunches, getting kids to school, getting to work on time, getting logged on for that meeting, and your nutrition goes out the window, either because you're just not hungry or you are eating whatever you can find and whatever you can get your hands on, or you go to a coffee shop after training for the social aspect and you just get a coffee thinking that you'll just organize nutrition for yourself when you get home or when you get to work. Then if any of those things are you, my friend, we need to have some words. Because what you do after your training sessions is just as important as what you do in them. You've just emptied the tank. Hopefully you've given it your all. Hopefully you've done a really good quality session. And if you don't refill properly, your body stays stuck in the red zone. You're missing this magic opportunity to optimize and maximize your recovery, rebuild muscle and strength, and actually adapt from the training that you've just done. I'm not saying you need some elaborate 6-step smoothie process with 12 different powders and some activated mint, but you do need to eat something with carbs, with protein, soon after you finish training. The longer you wait, the longer it takes your body to start recovering. And the more likely it is that you're going to crash later. Get hangry in the afternoon, tired, you have an increased risk of snack accidents, and you're still left wondering why your next session feels so rubbish. The kicker though, the punch in the guts, is that if your post-session window, your recovery window and the nutrition in there is off, it doesn't just impact that next session that you've got. It can mess up your entire week, your entire training block, and your entire season. So if winging it is your recovery nutrition strategy, it is definitely time for an upgrade. And this is one of the first key things that I fix for athletes in the Triathlon Nutrition Kickstart course and my Triathlon Nutrition Academy program. There is an entire module on recovery nutrition in both of those places, including exactly what to eat, how much and when, that is specific and custom to you, as well as strategies to get that wrangled with whatever chaos you've got happening in that post-exercise recovery window. As a busy mum of 3, I am fully aware of how crazy it can be when you walk in the door after training with all roads lead to recovery nutrition and you get sidelined by everyone else's needs at that time. But you need to think about you and be selfish and do whatever you can to get that organized for you, because it is so important to your success as a triathlete. So if you are sick of feeling wrecked after every session and you are riding the burnout line and want to actually get your recovery nutrition sorted, then first steps would be to go and check out the Kickstart course, dietitianapproved.com/kickstart. Now, my third and final question to decide if you are a burnt out triathlete is two-pronged. Do you feel like you are always hungry or never hungry at all? It goes both ways, depending on what type of person you are, because neither end of that spectrum is a good sign. If you're constantly thinking about food, grazing all day, waiting for your next meal or snack, craving sugar, salty snacks, and maybe that fourth coffee, or maybe it's the opposite. You finish training and have absolutely no appetite whatsoever. You skip meals without actually meaning to because you're not worried about food, you're not thinking about food. You don't feel hungry for dinner, and then suddenly you've got a spoon of peanut butter in the jar before your heart rate's even back to resting after training. Both of those ends of the spectrums are red flags. They both tell me that your body is not getting what it needs and your hunger hormones are probably confused and sending out the wrong messages at the wrong times. That is what happens when you train hard without the right fueling and are burnt out. You override your appetite and your body's natural cues and signals, and your energy intake can be so mismatched to your needs that your body is just in panic mode, sending out cravings and utter chaos just to try and keep it up and re-regulate itself again. Now, that doesn't just mess with your energy levels. It messes with your hormones, your mood, your sleep, your recovery, your performance, and definitely your body composition too. This is one of the sneakiest symptoms of underfueling, and it's one of the things that I can help you fix inside the Triathlon Nutrition Kickstart course. Once you start fueling properly, your appetite actually makes more sense. You eat enough to support your training and the cravings stop ruling the show. So if you're sick of feeling like you are constantly eating, constantly starving, or have no appetite to help support your nutrition, then it's definitely time to bring some balance back and re-regulate the system again. So how did you go with those 3 questions? Did one of those hit a little close to home? Or maybe 2 or 3 of them did? If you're nodding along thinking, yep, Taryn, that is me, trust me, you are not alone and you are not broken. I have seen hundreds of triathletes who are training hard. They're doing that part of their program as perfectly as they can. They think they're eating well, but they're still feeling really flat. They're feeling what I call the tired triathlete, needing naps, struggling to get through the day, feeling foggy and fundamentally frustrated. And it's not because you're lazy. It's not because you're getting older. And it's definitely not just a lack of motivation. You're likely just underfueled, under-recovered, and unknowingly have set yourself up for burnout. Now, burnout doesn't show up as full-blown meltdown, where you just can't get out of bed and can't function. Sometimes it is a slow slide into constant fatigue, low motivation, sugar cravings, and feeling like training is just hard work and a slog instead of something that you love. But the good news is it is totally fixable. With the right fueling and recovery strategies, you can turn all of that around and relatively quickly. I would say in a couple of days to a couple of weeks, depending on how far down that burnout continuum you are. And then you can feel good in training again. You can get through your day and not need a nap. You don't have to argue with your partner all the time, or they annoy you because they can't put their dirty clothes in the dirty clothes basket, so they just leave it next to it. They can't use the last bit of the toothpaste before opening a new one. They don't clean the coffee machine wand and leave coffee shit everywhere. Those little things do not matter. And if things like that are getting on your nerves, then something needs to change. So if this episode has maybe given you a little bit of a reality check, then I want you to take it as a gentle nudge. It might be time to stop winging it and start fueling like you mean it.